What's up, people? DJ Prophecy here for Trackmasters Disc Jockey Company. I'd like to welcome you to the show. Today we will be discussing vinyl records in general, as it is the year 2016, and from what I've been hearing on the internet, vinyl is making some sort of comeback, which is kind of funny because for people like me, DJs like myself, vinyl has never really gone away. I mean, I personally never moved on to another method of DJing, such as digital or using a laptop with software such as Serato. I know that many people use those newer technologies, and if that's what they do, that's what they do. Me myself, I don't ever see myself moving to those other technologies as far as DJing is concerned, and that could be for many reasons. When I first got into this whole DJ thing, which was back in 1998, I didn't just get into it like that. For many years before that time in 1998, when I basically got my equipment, my professional equipment, turntables, mixer, loudspeakers, the basic professional DJ setup. But before that step, before that happened, for many years I had been keeping an eye and an ear on the DJ field, on the DJ industry, because it was something that always attracted me, something that always caught my interest. In life, some people are interested in farming, others are interested in computers, others are interested in cooking. Nothing really caught my interest in life more than DJing and turntablism and this type of field. So as a small child, as the years kept going by, until I reached the age of 16, I was already heavily interested and already being influenced by DJ culture. Living and growing up in Miami and the South Florida area, I don't know how many people realize this, but Miami and South Florida, which is the Miami area, it's where, how should I put it? It's basically the mecca of dance music and nightlife and nightclubs and partying and DJs. Miami has a unique history when it comes to DJs and partying and parties and nightclubs and nightlife. And I grew up in Miami and the South Florida area. So from a very young age, I mean, a small child, I was exposed to this whole Miami scene, which, as you could probably imagine, consists of party music, DJs, and all of the stuff that goes along with that. So to make a long story short, I've been around the DJ stuff even before I got my equipment. I knew about the music. I had been, on my own time studying the music, such as local artists and even groups and artists from other areas, not just in the local area. So by the time I got my equipment in 1998, I just had to go find the music on vinyl and practice. And people think, depending on how seriously you take your craft as a DJ, I mean, for someone like myself who takes it incredibly seriously as a discipline, as an art form, as a craft, I had to study this stuff. And I'm not trying to be funny. Some people may think DJing is just something that, for lack of a better word, what bums do. They just play music. They don't have a life. They're not educated. They do drugs, or it's one of those jobs or careers that is not respectable, or doesn't carry any sort of weight as far as other fields, other industries, or other careers may. Well, that can be true, depending on how seriously the individual takes his or her craft as a DJ. For example, I got into this thing. When I say I got into it, when I got my equipment, which consisted of 2 turntables, a mixer, speakers, an amp, needles. When I got that stuff, it was just the basic core equipment, because keep in mind, this stuff was extremely expensive. So I didn't get all of the necessary stuff at one time, and we'll get into that later. But back to what I was saying, depending on how people, as quote unquote DJs, take the craft, you could build a serious career with DJing. And what I mean by that is understanding the history, the culture, the art form, the pioneers, all the DJs that came before, what they brought to the table as far as the art form is concerned, knowing a lot about the music, the artists, the groups, the name of the songs, knowing the songs. I mean, there's a lot to DJing. It's not just playing music. I mean, anybody could play music, but how many people can really perform well and know what they're doing, and take the DJ thing serious, So back to what I was saying. Yeah, I got my equipment, just the basic equipment, in 1998. Okay, and that was just the basic stuff. The needles were not great. I hated them until I got better quality ones later down the road. I started out, when I first got the equipment, I had no records. Not one record, okay? And then eventually I went from having 0 records to having 3 records, okay? And then from there, it just, what's the term? It snowballed, or, I just kept collecting records. I wouldn't stop. I was very committed to creating my DJ career and learning about the art, and eventually, of course, doing parties and stuff. But before any DJ goes out and does parties or gigs, he or she must be a bedroom DJ and practice in the privacy of his or her home, as I did. I spent a lot of time in my bedroom figuring out what the equipment does. I mean, seriously, before I got my equipment, I had no experience with vinyl. None. Nobody in my household or in my family had any records. We had cassettes. I had a ton of CDs, hip hop CDs, and other genres such as dance music, but no experience with vinyl. And we could get into that at a different time on a different video. But for this video here today, I just would like to speak about vinyl records in general. We could speak at a later time about my evolution as a disc jockey and how DJ Prophecy came to be. But for this video here, we're going to stick to the topic, which is going to be vinyl records. Okay? So I've got some records here, and I just want to go one by one with you, if you don't mind. There's this misconception out there that vinyl is dead or vinyl is dying, or record companies don't make vinyl anymore, or DJs don't use real vinyl anymore. This is not true. Okay? Maybe the majority of DJs nowadays don't use vinyl, real actual vinyl, which is what this is right here. And the reason they don't use it is not because vinyl is dead or record companies don't make vinyl any longer. I think the reason they're not using vinyl, they're using software, Serato, or some other technology which doesn't involve vinyl records. The reason they're doing that can be for many reasons. Number one, because vinyl records, if you're taking a bunch of records to a gig, it could be pretty heavy. I mean, a crate of records is not light, and if you're doing a party for a few hours, you're going to have maybe 5 crates, with you, and it's going to be heavy. So it's much easier for someone to take a case of CDs or use their laptop or an external hard drive or a flash drive versus taking a bunch of vinyl records, because the sheer size of all these records, I mean, it could get heavy. You might need to hire someone to help bring the records to the gig or the party for you. And so that could be one reason. Another reason is, these younger DJs, they aren't from an era where the DJ, meaning disc jockey, okay, these are discs before the compact discs, there were these discs known as, of course, vinyl records. And they're not from this time, I mean, which is perfectly fine. I mean, there was stuff going on in the 50s and 60s and the 40s that people who came into this world at a later time, we're not familiar with. So they're just the newer DJs, they're just not familiar with vinyl and turntables. I mean, they use what I think they refer to as controllers or CDJs, which is CDJs, from what I understand, are DJ style CD players, and you could even do something like a scratch, like you would, like a vinyl DJ would do. People using CDJs can sort of scratch something similar to that, although from what I hear it's not the same. It doesn't sound the same, doesn't feel the same. That's because it's not the same. I mean, if you're scratching a piece of vinyl on a turntable, such as this one right here, okay, if you're scratching that, you're not gonna, there's no way any software or anything is gonna give you that same exact experience, the same exact feel, the same exact sound. That's why DJs like myself stick to the actual basic form of DJing, which is vinyl, you know. Another reason DJs these days may not use vinyl is because it's not easy to find. When I first started my vinyl collection, it was extremely difficult to get vinyl. I had to go to specialty stores. I had to order from catalogs. For example, I read a lot of Source magazine, which is a hip-hop magazine for those who don't know, and in the back there was an advertisement for records or DJ equipment and all kinds of stuff, and so I would use those mail order businesses to get records, and they would mail it to me. I'd get the latest Jay-Z. I'd even get some very old school stuff that was not available in my area. Yeah, so that's how I would obtain records. But yeah, these days vinyl is not hard to find, so that could be a big reason why these DJs today don't use vinyl, which is a shame, because vinyl is so great, and it saddens me greatly to see an industry that I greatly care for and have a passion for, seeing it kind of go down the drain, because the music industry, which is record companies, for some weird reason I don't really understand, they are moving away from physical media such as vinyl records and even CDs, and they are pushing MP3s. Why they're doing that, God only knows, because it's I think it's suicide for them. I mean, let's not even talk about the DJ culture and the DJ industry and the DJ community for a minute. Let's talk about the music industry. With these files, whether they're MP3 or MP4, I'm not an expert on these files, as you could probably tell, but I do have some, to be honest with you, and I also have CDs. But when it comes to DJing, I like to stick to the vinyl. But back to what I was saying, when you've got songs on little files that you could download from your computer, from the internet, it is so much easier to copy that and share that, in effect making the music industry, the record companies and the artists, lose money than to sell physical media such as records and CDs. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not one to share music and MP3, MP4 files or anything like that, but I'm sure a ton of people do. It's so easy to copy, it's so easy to distribute, and when you do that, the record companies are losing money. So I don't know why they're pushing these files, which can be stored on a hard drive, on a thumb drive, or on your laptop, versus something such as a CD, okay, or a vinyl record. You know, it's much more difficult to copy this or a CD than it is a file, one of these downloadable files, whether MP3 or MP4. You know, so it's just I don't understand. You know, it doesn't make any sense why they are pushing that sort of music distribution versus the physical media. But yeah, people, DJs such as myself, we can get vinyl. Vinyl is available. It's what has made getting vinyl much easier these days, which wasn't around back when I first got into DJing, is the internet. When I got into DJing, like in 1998, as I mentioned, the internet was not where it is today or where it was 5 years ago. It was still pretty new, pretty primitive. I don't think vinyl records were vinyl records were available online as they are today. I mean, today you could Google a vinyl record and you could be able to purchase it. Some are affordable, and then others are not affordable. Okay, but that is an option. And from what I understand, record companies do make vinyl still, and I don't see them ever stopping. And they may not be making it as much as they have in the past, in the 70s and 80s and 90s, but they still do make them. And from what I've been hearing on the internet, there's a huge vinyl boom going on in the past you know, five or so years. Vinyl sales have been increasing, and there is a huge need out there for vinyl, whether it's from so-called hipsters or even DJs, you know, such as myself, or newer DJs, or people who just want vinyl. I mean, vinyl is beautiful. Vinyl is awesome. Vinyl is cool. Vinyl is the original music media. Okay? Before cassettes, before CDs, before these files that are being downloaded online, there was vinyl. And there will always be vinyl, as far as I could see. I mean, let me give you an example. The Technics turntable, the 1200, which is the holy grail of DJs. Excuse me. It has been the standard within the DJ industry for decades, okay, since it first came out. I think it was in the mid 80s, and for some strange reason, about 7-10 years ago, they stopped making them, which is another thing that blows my mind. Why would the leading turntable maker stop making such an important product? I mean, but anyway, I found out that about a year ago they began making the Technics 1200 turntable again, and it's a new design with possibly some improvements. But it goes to show you, you know, the Technique turntable, which was stopped, which they stopped producing. They're back at it. Panasonic, which makes Techniques turntables, they are making Technique turntables again because they're in demand, as is vinyl records. I mean, you know, but let's go back to the subject, which is vinyl records. I'm just going to show you a few records here. I think most of us are familiar with the standard 12-inch vinyl record. Okay, it looks like this. It comes in a jacket, and most records look like this. They're black. Of course, they're made of wax. And this is a vinyl record. This one here is a single by the Wu-Tang artist, Wu-Tang Clan member, known as the GZA, who is also known as the Genius. So he's got two names, the GZA, also known as the Genius. And look at this thing. Look how beautiful this thing is. It's got the GZA Genius logo, which is a G. It's a Wu-Tang symbol, Wu-Tang logo carved in the shape of a G. So this is the standard run-of-the-mill vinyl record, and it's a 12-inch. This is the 12-inch, basic 12-inch vinyl record, which usually, but not always, consists of, depending on the genre. Let's take hip-hop, for example, this is a hip-hop 12-inch single. These usually, but not always, keep that in mind, consist of a main version, which is also known as the club version or the dirty version, and there's an A side and a B side, and in most cases, but not always, there's a clean version or a radio version, which is to be played on the radio if the DJ is mixing during a mix show on the radio, or at an event or a party where it's not a good idea to use explicit lyrics. That the clean version or the radio version would be used in that case. This one has the dirty version, the radio version, and the instrumental, which is differs depending on the type, depending on the record. I mean, some records, the instrumental is just the instrumental. There's no words whatsoever. And then other records, the instrumental actually has no words, but then it also has the chorus, which jumps in basically 3 times. So it's music, and then you get the chorus, whatever the chorus is, and then it's back to just music. So each record is different. I mean, but for the most part, a basic 12-inch record in the hip-hop genre has the dirty version, the radio version, an instrumental, and the a cappella, which is just the words. Just the words, no music or beats behind the words. That would be a basic hip-hop 12-inch single, okay? But not all 12-inch singles, and now we're speaking about the hip-hop genre here, not all of them are like that. Usually they're like that, okay? But not always. Sometimes it's just the dirty club version, okay? And an instrumental. Other times it's what's known as a TV track, which is kind of like the instrumental, but it has a bit of words here and there in the background, And another thing I like to point out from experience is that sometimes the labels are on there incorrectly, meaning it'll say, side A radio version, but in actuality it's the dirty version. And on the back it'll say instrumental and a cappella, but instead of being number one, track one instrumental, track two a cappella, they would be incorrectly placed on the label. In other words, where it's supposed to be the instrumental is actually the a cappella, and where it's supposed to be the a cappella is the instrumental. So then what's bad about that is if in case the DJ doesn't know and he's gonna play a record at an event or wherever, and he's unaware that the label is wrong, the record company screwed up the label, he's gonna play the wrong track. It may be at an event where they need clean music, no bad words, and then because the label is wrong and he's unaware, the dirty version might be played by accident. So this happens quite often. I mean, not always. Usually the record labels do a good job of labeling the tracks, but there are many cases where the DJ really has to know if the labels are correct. And I myself personally, because that is an issue, I listen to the records and I label. If the labels are wrong, I correct it with a Sharpie or a pen or something, so that I don't so that I know what's going on. I play the right track, Okay, so that's the basic 12-inch. That's the 12-inch, right? And in the hip hop genre, for example, records come in more than one shape. Excuse me, not shape. They all come in the same. Records come in all shapes. You know what? I'm gonna take that back. They don't come in all shapes, but they do come in all sizes, different sizes. And they come in different colors and different forms. And by different forms, I mean there's the 12-inch single, which is basically one or two songs plus extra tracks, maybe, such as the instrumental and clean, dirty version, a cappella. There's an A side, there's a B side. And then there is what's called the LP, which is basically an album, like what you would get on a CD. And I could show you an LP right here. This right here is Tikal by the artist Method Man, who is another member of the Wu-Tang Clan. Okay, this is a classic album released from Def Jam. As a matter of fact, this was the first Wu-Tang solo project after the Wu-Tang burst on the scene with their Enter the 36 Chambers album, which was a humongous success. Method Man went on to Def Jam. They all went to different labels, and they didn't break up. They just went to different labels to expand and achieve further success. But I'm going to show you this record and what it looks like. This is the inner sleeve. Look how beautiful that is. It's got the Method Man Wu-Tang logo. And on the back of the sleeve, it's got a bunch of information, shout outs and production information. See that? You see how gorgeous this is? So, I don't understand why record companies, okay, which make these things, records, these are records made by record companies, obviously, right? Why would they get rid of something so nice for something so stupid as a MP3 or MP4 or whatever you call these things? And I'm not trying to diss anybody or be disrespectful, but seriously, why would you get rid of this when you could sell this physical media, and it's much more difficult to copy and, you know, distribute and stuff without them getting money for their product. You know, it's much more difficult to copy one of these guys than it is downloadable music files. You know what I'm saying? So this is an LP. The difference, as I may have mentioned, between an LP and a 12-inch single is that the LP is just like buying a CD. If you guys are familiar with CDs, I mean, these days it's like you mentioned CD, and they're like, oh, that's old media. What is a CD? That's old technology, which is another thing that's shocking to me, because I love CDs. I have a huge CD collection. When I'm in my car, I want to listen to my CDs. You know, I still record mixes on CDs. CDs are great. I love CDs. I can't imagine a world without CDs. And that's another thing these days which I don't quite understand, is what's the big deal with CDs and all this hate against CDs. So vinyl is basically, again, if you're familiar with CDs, when an artist drops an album, the mainstream public would go and buy the CD, and it would contain all of the songs, right? And that's what an LP is. It's an album, right? And it has all the songs that are on that album, and sometimes there are extra tracks that are only available on the vinyl version. You see, when you buy something on vinyl, sometimes you get extras, extra goodies, extra music, and in many cases, in most cases, larger artwork. You know, and you're able to see the details. Look at the details on this album. I mean, you've got Method Man here exhaling, chronic smoke or whatever that is. And then down here you've got the cool looking Wu-Tang Method Man logo. And then if you look very closely, I think it's over here. No, it's actually over here. You could see Method Man. I'm trying to get the shiny part out of there, but you could see Method Man blowing smoke out of his mouth, and that's on a large 12-inch LP. It's very difficult to notice that on a CD. That's another thing when you're comparing CDs and vinyl. With vinyl, you're able to see all the fine details of the beautiful artwork, and you're able to read all of the lettering and the thank yous and the production notes, and many times the lyrics that are included. It's much more difficult with the CD, and it is pretty much impossible when it comes to those downloadable files, as I'm sure you could probably understand. But moving on, the next piece of vinyl that I'd like to share with you is a 12-inch single, and it is by Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg, Still DRE, which is a banging West Coast hit. It's a really cool song. I mean, whenever I play this, forget about it. This is one of the essential DJ records right here. But what I really wanted to show you was that this particular record, okay, look at the color. Remember when I was saying records come in all sizes and colors? Look at the color. This is a translucent, clearish kind of color for this Dr. Dre record. You see how nice that is? Why would anyone want to get rid of something like this for an MP3 or something like that? You know, I just don't get it. Okay, so this record here, as you can see, it's much smaller. All right, this is an EDM. This is an EDM record. As you can see, it's Run DMC versus Jason Nevins. This is almost like a house track, this is a great record, by the way. So it's much excuse me again. It's much smaller than a 12-inch record. Okay, it's smaller, and this one plays at 45 beats per minute instead of the speed these other records play at. Excuse me one second. Look at the artwork on this thing. For those who know, this artwork was basically taken from a classic Run DMC album, which I do have in the crates back there, the original. I think I may actually have 2 copies of it, but yeah, this is a great song. This is great for b-boy competitions, and it's awesome. I mean, Run DMC, you can't beat that. And then it's a remix of their classic It's Like That. Here is another clear kind of record, you know, just wanted to show you that one. And okay, so for DJs and turntablists, there are certain specialty records that are made especially for DJs and turntablists for scratching and mixing and stuff. They're known as, some of these are known as battle weapons, okay? This one here is part of the DJ Rectangle Ultimate Battle Weapon series. This is the white vinyl, okay? And it's got a lot of cool sounds on there, such as all kinds of beats and sounds and noises for scratching, you know. For example, I'm sure you've heard these sounds when DJs are mixing, like good, chugga, 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 and you can scratch that all up, you know. And there's noises, you know, like crashing noises, Beavis and Butthead, you know, rappers talking, you know, and you could just use those sounds to scratch and make your own music. Basically, that's what it's for, making your own stuff out of it. Here's the yellow vinyl, and I think I got a blue one here. Yep. These are specialty vinyls, not vinyls, vinyl. Well, it is plural, so vinyls, yes. For DJs and turntablists, Here's a classic LP. It's a re-release. So some of these are re-releases that I'm showing you, but I probably have some of the originals somewhere. This is the Beastie Boys' License to Ill. It's a classic hip-hop LP from Def Jam. And when you open this thing up, you got the Beasties in there. You know? And when you pull out the sleeve, you get this very nice artwork. How nice is that? Why would anybody give up such a beautiful experience that you can have with vinyl for, you know, I mean, I could understand if you're in your car, you can't play a vinyl record. That's why I have a ton of CDs. You know, a lot of these records, I have the CDs as well. I mean, if I want to hear it in my car or something. But as you know, again, the record business, the music business, I don't see why they're steering away from physical media and pushing their, you know, file agenda, musical files on downloadable music. Here is a red vinyl, a red see-through vinyl. This here is another Beastie Boys LP. And then it's a double, this one is a double vinyl. And then look at the artwork. I mean, what's more attractive? These vinyl records or an MP3 file? And as I mentioned, with vinyl, you could actually read the notes that come inside the vinyl record. And believe me, I've got a ton of experience with CDs, and it's not easy to read the notes and stuff in CDs. But I think I much prefer a CD over an MP3 file. Here's another LP. It's Tupac's Greatest Hits. You know, if you're a fan of music, I think you would much rather have a vinyl collection than storing all your music on your iPod or whatever it is people these days are using. Look at all this. That's what the disc looks like. There's 4 of them in here. Is it 4? Yeah. 1, 2, This greatest hits by Tupac has 4 pieces of vinyl that come inside. And it's, as it says, this is Tupac's greatest hits. So you have all of his best music right here on 4 pieces of vinyl, front and back. Like I was saying before, as a DJ, sometimes you get stuff that's meant specifically for you as a DJ. For example, records like this, which contain a bunch of songs of different artists, different genres, you know, which are not really available to the general public at a store or anything like that. They're specifically made for DJs. Some of these are known as promos. Others are known as, you know, Party Jams Volume 1 through whatever, you know, 28, you know. And sometimes they don't come with enough information. Like, they just have a few words on the label, which may not even be the correct name of the song, and it doesn't include the artist, and it might not be accurate information. So what the DJ has to do is in his or her spare time, listen to the music and then create his or her own labels. Like, for example, track 1 is by the Notorious B.I.G., track 2 is by Gangstar, that's the name of the song. Track 3 is Craig Mack, you know, and that's the title of the song. Number 4, Mary J. Blige, the title is All I Need Remix, and it's featuring Method Man. So DJs, real serious DJs need to create their own labels, because it becomes more difficult if you don't know what you have on the vinyl, if the label isn't helping you that much. Similar to like when the record companies get the labeling wrong, you know what I mean? And that causes the DJ to have to correct it with a marker or a pen or a, you know, a label. Okay, so this LP here is actually a soundtrack LP to the old school hip hop film Wild Style. Some of you may be familiar with this film. This is a very important film in the hip hop genre, or as many like to refer to it as the hip hop culture. I myself, as a DJ, refer to hip hop as both a genre and as a culture, because as many of you may know, the DJ is 1/4 of the hip hop culture. What is hip hop? Hip hop is b-boying, also known as breakdancing, DJing, graffiti, and MCing, also known as rapping. So Wild Style was a film that came out, I believe it was in the early 80s. Yeah, I think 1983 is the date. And it's the best documentation of what hip-hop was in its early days. There's a lot of it's a historical film, and there's a lot of big names in there from the early days of hip-hop and rap, such as DJ Grandmaster Flash. Who else is in here? Busy Bee. The Rocksteady Crew, which is a very famous b-boy group, you know, from the Bronx. which is where I think this was filmed. Look at this. This is a famous scene at the end of the film where they're throwing some kind of event, you know, and the rappers are coming out, and it's a good movie. I mean, so this is the soundtrack. You know, this film is so important for hip-hop that Nas actually used some of the sounds from the film. I think it was in the beginning of his Illmatic album, if I remember correctly. It's the subway theme or something like that. So yeah, even Nas understands the importance and the significance of this film. Not only did he use a piece of the sound from the film in his Illmatic album, but if you look at his It Ain't Hard to Tell music video, if I remember correctly, it's filmed, parts of it is filmed where you see this scene from the Wild Style movie, which I was telling you about. His video, Nas's video, It Ain't Hard to Tell, is filmed somewhere in this location. So that's how hip hop Nas is, that he incorporates all of this real hip hop flavor, all of this real hip hop culture and history into his art form of emceeing. So he pays tribute to real hip hop. So big up Nas. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's it for today. I think what I was going to say is I hope you guys have enjoyed the show. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but I do own a disc jockey company. It's a DJ company. And if you're interested, the website is www.trackmastersdj.com. It is there's a link in the description below. And also you could follow what we do on Twitter. And if you don't mind, please like us on Facebook. If you go to the website, trackmastersdj.com, there is an online store there. If you like, you can purchase some merchandise. We have t-shirts, hoodies. I believe there's some posters available and some other stuff. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, feel free to make a purchase. If not, that's fine. Feel free to browse around the website. There's a ton of cool information on there. Again, the links are in the description below. And as another YouTube personality likes to say, we hope you've been entertained, somewhat enlightened. Thank you for stopping by, and see you next time. This is DJ Prophecy signing off. Peace, and I'm out.